Welcome back to another jaw-dropping police encounter. Today, we've got a case that reads like a legal thriller. A man tries to pay for fuel with a £100 Royal Mint coin, and suddenly, what should have been a simple transaction explodes into threats of arrest. Watch closely as a surgeon's misunderstanding of legal tender escalates tension, sparks outrage, and ultimately costs taxpayers thousands. Ever seen a law so blatantly misapplied? Stick around. By the end, you'll witness how arrogance trumps law in real time.
To the point where payment is due, you're now refusing to make payment, therefore I will treat it as a criminal offence. So how would you wish to proceed at this point?
Well, I have got means to pay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not going to fill out a civil recovery form. As you
Okay,
put it.
right, so what's the means that
What was the
you're
option
going to pay? So option one is either you pay, option two is you fill out the form, option three is that you get arrested.
Well, pay.
No, you pay with legal tender that they will accept.
That is legal tender.
No, they don't have,
But if this is a £50 note and he said, oh, look, we don't accept £50 notes because there's lots of forgeries,
Exactly.
would you be doing exactly the same thing now?
Yes, so if you go into a corner shop and try and pay for a penny chew with a £50 note, you have offered a form of payment that they will not accept. The principle is exactly the same.
Well, if you arrest me, it'll be a wrongful arrest.
Yeah? It's not, it's a lawful arrest because I've explained the situation and I've explained that I believe you're doing this for
Are you a
dishonest
sergeant
reason.
or an officer?
I am a sergeant.
Right.
Okay, so my point is also that coin is not worth the face value of it. It's not legal tender in such a way that this shop has to accept it as being valued at £100.
Okay, so
it has.
hang on.
Short of the mark.
No, I'm not. So it is got a face value of £100. So it is worth £100.
It's not.
Well, you say that, but the Bank of England, the House of Commons, the state, all the institutions that came before you say it is, right? But you say it isn't, right? Now you say it's only worth whatever you say it was. Interestingly, I don't know if you've looked at the price of silver, but that's probably worth about £48 in silver. Hang on, I haven't finished yet. So that's £48 in silver.
Here's where things start to unravel. The surgeon insists Tesco doesn't have to accept legal tender, but that's a misinterpretation of UK law. Once fuel is pumped, a debt exists. Offering valid legal tender discharges that debt. By claiming otherwise, the officer is essentially trying to criminalize a civil transaction. Imagine being accused of theft while literally holding the money in your hand. It's absurd, but it highlights how dangerous misunderstandings of the law can be when authority meets ego.
It would be a wrongful arrest. Well, how can you arrest somebody for refusing to pay when they're offering to pay with a coin of the realm?
Because you're not offering to pay with payment that they can accept or will accept or have to accept. No.
Now, interestingly, you said that you've done some research on this and I've done this before.
Yeah.
Well, what was the outcome of it last time?
It was no further action.
Why was that then?
I don't know.
Well, how come you've got a record of that?
I'm about to let you drive off from here.
Well, how come you got a record that I did it last time, but you haven't got a record of the outcome?
Why? Because I haven't got time to look at that right now.
But you have got time to arrest me and deal with all the paperwork that'll be involved in that.
Yep.
So that's just abusing your power, I think, because what you're trying to do is
you're proportionally. These people here are trying to.
This is the heart of the argument. Brett is offering legal payment, yet the officer refuses to accept it. Under the Theft Act 1978, making off without payment requires leaving with intent to avoid payment. Brett hasn't left, and he's clearly offering to pay. So what's really happening? Is this ignorance, a misuse of power, or both? Drop a comment. Who do you think is at fault here? The surgeon's next move is about to make this a case study in law versus pride.
Refusing, to cooperate with me any further. You're refusing to resolve this situation by giving these people your details. So therefore,
No, I don't, because what you're trying to encourage me to do is not to give them my details, but to fill out a legally binding form. You're actually encouraging me to fill out a legally binding form, right? That would be detrimental to me.
Why? Because you have to pay for your fuel just like everybody else in this petrol station?
No, because you're forcing me not to use cash. It's exactly the same as you...
No, I'm forcing you to provide the legal tender that this business is willing to accept.
But it's not for them to pick and choose.
It is, absolutely.
No, it's not.
If they will only accept payment in Pokemon cards...
The surgeon tries to compare a £100 coin to a £50 note being refused for forgery. But this analogy completely collapses. Businesses can refuse notes before a transaction, not after a debt is incurred. Once you pump fuel, the law is clear. You owe payment, and legal tender must be accepted. The more the sergeant talks, the clearer it becomes that he's improvising law on the spot. This is a textbook example of why knowledge of legal principles is non-negotiable for police officers.
Point of payment without making
Well,
payment.
I haven't driven off, have I? I've got every intention of paying with this coin.
No.
If I had no intention, if I was trying to do something dishonest, I'd driven off, wouldn't I? But the fact is, I've waited here for you to come, and I've discussed it with you. I've tried to explain, being very civil. I'm being rude, have I? In any way, I've got no disrespect for the police whatsoever.
No.
Might go downhill a bit if you arrest me unlawfully.
Okay.
I just think, please just check that it's a lawful arrest. I don't think it is.
I believe it is.
And the whole point of cash and legal tender is that you cannot be successfully prosecuted for non-payment if you've offered legal tender. So if I had Scottish notes, right, now they're not legal tender.
Notice the arrogance here. Brett cites the Bank of England and Royal Mint, yet the sergeant treats his own opinion as law. He even tries to devalue the coin, saying it's only worth 48 pounds in silver. That's like saying a 20 pounds note is just a few pence of plastic. The issue isn't confusion, it's pride. Instead of upholding the law, the officer doubles down on personal ego. This is a pivotal moment showing how officers enforcing their own interpretations can escalate minor incidents into major legal messes.
And then it'd be the same scenario, just the same as if you went into a restaurant and had a meal, and then you have to pay afterwards, and you offered to pay in that.
Yeah.
Right, they can't lawfully have you prosecuted for failure to pay if you've offered a reasonable means of payment and they've refused to accept it.
Yeah, but you've refused to identify yourself to this person.
Well, I don't need to, do I?
I'm now starting to view your actions as being dishonest.
How have I been dishonest?
I suspect an offence is going to
How have I been dishonest?
because you're refusing to give your information to this gentleman, so that
But he's not entitled to my information, is he?
he is.
Okay,
because
if I told you
no,
what my...
because you have a debt to settle up with him.
This is-
So to go to the restaurant scenario, if you ate your meal and then said, "Oh, I've forgotten my wallet," I've got no means of paying.
Oh, no means paying.
Yeah, okay. So at that point, you're not being dishonest. At the point that you refuse to identify yourself, or you put Mickey Mouse care of Disney World on a piece of paper and say, "Here's my details," you're then becoming dishonest.
What about if, we went to the restaurant, we had a meal, right, and then I pulled out a £50 note and they said, "Look, we don't accept £50 notes."
Yeah.
They can't make a decision about...
The sergeant admits he's dealt with this issue before, yet he won't check the outcome. Instead, he threatens arrest, drags an innocent man through paperwork, and puts his own pride over professionalism. He has time to enforce his ego, but not 30 seconds to verify the law. The result? Taxpayers end up footing the bill. This is exactly what happens when authority is weaponized by ignorance, not justice, and why cases like these end up in court instead of being resolved sensibly on the spot.
in any way when I'm offering to pay with a coin of the realm, a legal
Because
tender
you've
coin.
offered a form of payment that they are unable or unwilling to accept. Therefore, as I said, the onus is on you to find alternative means. You've failed to do that.
Okay.
And you are now proposing to leave here without actually giving any means of identification so they can arrange at a later date to make payment with you.
Okay.
So therefore, because of that, I suspect that you are about to commit an offence of making off without payment.
See, now I reckon that if you've offered to pay, and I've offered to pay lots of times, got it on video, and right, and they refuse to accept the payment, I can't see how that I've committed a crime, even if I don't pay.
To provide an alternative means of payment or come to an alternative agreement.
So what you're suggesting is that you're going to arrest me based on the opinion of a Tesco staff member, whereas another member of staff might have...
Based on my suspicion.
Suspicion.
I'm sure with the amount of time this gentleman has spent here, and the fact that other colleagues are aware of the fact that we have been here for half an hour?
Nah, 16 minutes.
I'm sure if he were able to take that coin, he would have done it by now, because he's got plenty of other things to do. You are costing them money by the fact that your car's sat here taking out these two lanes.
Well, I've offered to move it, but he said no.
If they could...
I offered to move it, but he said no.
But if they were willing to take this at any point, they would have done that.
Now, don't you think, Ben, right, that the country's biggest retailer would have a simple, basic understanding of coins of the realm and the legal tender situation and what they can do and what they can't do.
Well, they clearly do by the fact that they are not obliged to take it just because it's legal tender.
Because he said so. But how do you know he's right? And how do you know that what he's saying is the opinion of Tesco's as a company as a whole?
It's not that he's right, it's that the Bank of England is right, and it's the Bank of England that states that...
By now, every part of the surgeon's logic has collapsed. Brett hasn't left, is offering legal payment, and remains calm. Yet the officer pushes for a questionable arrest. This is a stark lesson. Authority without understanding becomes tyranny. The law isn't a suggestion, and offering valid legal tender cannot be criminalized. Moments like this are why body cam footage is invaluable. It exposes exactly how personal bias can distort law enforcement in real time.
Police station where you were put into custody. The reason for that is for the prompt and effective investigation of the offence and to confirm your identity and your name and address.
Well, it'll be unlawful arrest, won't it?
No, not at all.
Right, where do you want me to park my car
I have the
then?
suspicion that you're about to commit an offence.
Well, what offence am I committing?
I've told you, I think you're about to make off without payment, and if I don't arrest you, then you will make off without payment. So there's my grounds.
Well, I'm offering to make
Can you
payment.
come out of the car, please?
Yeah,
sir?
okay.
Okay.
There's no use to use violence, is there?
No, well, step out of the car.
Let me just get my affairs together, all right?
Okay. Do you want to provide your details, or are you going to go to custody?
Well, I want details from you.
Yeah, but do you want to provide them to this?
So what's the takeaway from this wild encounter? A lawful payment was misinterpreted, a civil transaction was turned into a criminal scenario, and taxpayer money eventually paid the price for officer error. The ruling? The arrest was challenged, the surgeon's actions scrutinized, and the law clarified for everyone watching. If you found this case as shocking as we did, make sure to hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more jaw-dropping courtroom breakdowns.